In a recent podcast with Boston Lloyd, I mentioned that I had come across a paper that indicated that among lions with higher testosterone levels had darker manes. And I carelessly mentioned that I thought that blonder people are generally less androgenic. This was a mistake because I didn't go into detail about what I meant, and I got a plethora of messages from Northern Europeans arguing against that. So in this video, I'm going to try to clarify what I mean to say. But before I do, please subscribe to the channel, like the video if you haven't already, and leave a comment for the sake of the algorithm. Now let's get started. First of all, hormones are classically defined by their genomic effects, meaning that hormones change gene transcription across the human body and other animal bodies as well. I've long been suspicious that the androgen receptor somehow modulates melanin-related genes, such that when there's more agonism of the androgen receptor within a single person, there's more transcription of genes that dictate the darkness of maybe hair or skin through melanin. Of course, this is only the case within a single person or within a genetically similar population. It's unfair, for example, to compare Japanese to Norwegians, because then you're getting into a lot of different genetic polymorphisms that may be associated with those populations that have practiced endogamy, which means marrying from within the population for long periods of time. Rather, we're talking about within a similar population genetically, maybe within a family, and where there are not so many genetic variables to account for. I think then when there's higher testosterone levels, there may be more likelihood of darker hair and more melanin production. Now, what made me think this? Well, first of all, I noticed, actually through the birth of my younger brother, who was born blonde, that a lot of people that are born blonde end up dirty blonde or with brown hair when they age. Now, this may have something to do with gene transcription as they age, but it may have something to do, especially in men, with their rise of testosterone levels in puberty. What I also noticed was within families that are blonde, it seems to be that sons will often be less blonde than daughters. And so you can often see in blonde families that the daughters are more blonde than the boys. This one particularly struck me. Finally, I carry the melanocortin-1 receptor polymorphism that produces red hair in certain people. The reason you can't see my red hair is because my father obviously had very strong melanin-related polymorphisms, and so my hair is actually very dark. But when my hair is lighter, so for example in my beard, a lot of my beard hair is actually red, though it's not visible on camera. Now, what's interesting about this is that I noticed at a young age, when I was 13 or so, when my beard started to come in a little bit, that some hairs would come in black and turn, literally the same hair follicle would turn red in the new part, or the reverse would happen. So I could see my hair color changing within single hair follicles. Later in life, when I became hypogonadal at several times, I found that when I was hypogonadal or had lower testosterone levels, my beard was visibly more red. In fact, people would notice this and comment, "Oh, I didn't realize you had red hair in your beard." They wouldn't notice for a period of time until my testosterone levels dropped. On the other hand, when I took androgenic steroids, my beard visibly darkened. The red hairs, I could actually see red hair follicles turn black when my beard was a bit longer. So this observation was very interesting to me. For those that don't know, melanin masks blondness or red hair. And red hair and blondness are determined by different genetic polymorphisms that can be masked by you having higher melanin levels. So that's what was happening with me. Unfortunately, nobody has ever tested this in humans to my knowledge, but there are several animal studies that are quite interesting. For example, some show that, as I said, lions with darker manes have on average higher testosterone levels. In fact, Boston Lloyd was right. White lions are hypothesized to have unusually low testosterone levels also. Although, obviously, the low testosterone level is not the cause, but they seem interrelated, interestingly. There's also evidence that testosterone modulates melanin in birds of different species, actually. And as early as the 1960s or late 1950s, there were studies on guinea pigs that showed that parts of the guinea pig skin became darker when they had higher testosterone levels. Not all of the skin, but some of it, some of the melanin was modulated by testosterone levels. I find all of this very interesting because, first, I never heard anyone observe this before. I think I'm the first person I've ever heard talk about the fact that when you see siblings, oftentimes the daughters will be more blonde than the sons and so on. But with that said, it seems to exist in certain cultures. So for example, in the African American culture in the US, lighter skinned guys have this unfortunate reputation of being less masculine. The same exists in the Arab society that I grew up in the Middle East. In the Middle East, people consider men of lighter skin to be a bit more feminine. This really annoyed me as a child because my father is very dark skinned and my mother is very light skinned. So I ended up a bit lighter skinned, and when I was young I used to get bullied a little bit about it. But it turns out it may have some relevance to testosterone levels. Anyway guys, let me know what you've observed in your own life, and now that you understand what I'm trying to say. Remember, I'm not trying to say Northern Europeans are less masculine than other cultures. And certainly Northern Europeans have high IGF-1 levels, it seems, and higher testosterone levels than some other Europeans. But we're talking about within a population, within a family even. That more so. And keeping everything else equal, if you raise testosterone levels, would your hair get darker? That's really the question. Anyway guys, thank you so much for bearing with me, and I'll see you next time.